What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV and your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live from the LiveX studios in Midtown Manhattan. Trying to reach you guys, Packers fans worldwide, because that's who we're devoted to. Kenny Clark in the fold for another 2 years at least after the Packers exercise his fifth-year option. I think a lot of the chatter online today is about needing the Packers to hurry up and get him signed to a long-term deal. And I know Tom Silverstein wrote on that very subject a couple weeks ago. I couldn't agree more. I absolutely concur. Anybody who's watched me for any length of time here at Packers Daily knows that I have been saying how much of a star Kenny Clark is still set to become. He still has, in my mind, untapped potential. He's still extremely young, even though he is entering the latter part of his rookie deal. Yeah, that's good news. Easiest call Gutekunst probably ever has to make his entire time as general manager of the Green Bay Packers. And hello to everybody in the comments section. Byron from Indianapolis. What's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. Hi, Nags. What's up? What's up, David? Thanks for dropping by. How excited are you to see growth in our defense this season? I'll tell you what. Look, Mike Pettine was MacGyver last year in regards to what he was given to work with and the results he got on the field, especially early on in the season. I thought he was a bit of a miracle worker. And now there are certainly much broader talent base to work with for him now. And I don't want to say, pumped up ridiculous things like, well, he's got no excuses. Because, the NFL is brutal and it's hard. And I understand that things happen. But certainly the expectations should be raised for Mike Pettine. Certainly, given the potential that he has been handed, whether it's the rookies, whether it's the guys they signed in free agency, their defense should be much improved. That will be the expectation. Now, I'm not going to sit here on the first day of May and say, well, they're going to be a top 5 defense. There's way too much to play out yet. But I am, to your question, very excited about the possibilities, no doubt. My favorite part of last season was watching opposing offenses have to make adjustments mid-game, and it'll get better. Benjamin, you hope so. I thought that was the strength of what Pettine did last year. He was very good at kind of recognizing what offenses were doing early on and making adjustments. The problem is you'd like to see a few more stops early on. I mean, there were quite a few first drive touchdowns, and you'd like to see that kind of dwindle down a little bit. But again, the addition of a lot more talent should help in that regard. Any chance some vets still join the team? Yeah, I think they're at 88 now, so they still have 2 spots. So, yeah, there could be some signings. You never know. Maybe we'll see a couple cap casualties after the draft. Maybe the Packers bring in a couple guys, but right now I think they're in a good spot. Dan, thanks for checking out the stream, man. Thanks for the kind words. What was the biggest overreaction, positive or negative, of a 2019 draft pick from media and fan base? That's a good question. Biggest overreaction, if you're talking Packers? I mean, obviously everybody kind of jumped on the lack of production from Gary. That's something that's been pumped up a little bit. But that's been pretty even keeled comparatively. In a world where the Justin Harrell reaction video exists, it's been pretty tempered. Do we still need another safety on this team? Good question, Patrick. If they were to pick up a veteran off the street, that might be a position they look at. I think they have enough pieces at this point, but they could be looking, and maybe they make some calls, and maybe they get to a point in camp where they say, we got to bring in another guy at the position. But I think right now they're going to try and see what they have on hand. What is my opinion on whether Tyreek Hill should ever play in the league again? My opinion is that he should never play in the league again. That is my opinion. Now that the draft is complete, what do you think are the strongest and weakest parts of the roster? Well, that's a good question. I think safety is a big unknown. There's a lot of potential there. Amos is obviously a big upgrade. Savage, you get really excited about, but does his game translate? Does he come into the NFL, pick up where he left off, etc.? I think that's a big question mark at this point. We know what Josh Jones is. We know his limitations. He'll obviously help. Raven Green might get a shot, but I think safety is still a pretty big question mark. Strongest? I don't know, probably defensive line. Or maybe even defensive front as a whole. I don't know. It's a really good question. It's probably either front. I mean, I think the offensive line got a real kind of shot in the arm talent-wise as well, to go along with an all-pro at left tackle and a stalwart center and a old guy tackle, vet in Bulaga. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Those are the ones that jump out at me initially. Now, I think there's tons of potential in all the other spots, but those are the ones that I think are the best right now. Do you think we still need a wide receiver? I don't, actually. I believe in the guys they have on hand. As I said on Twitter before the draft, I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd taken a wide receiver, if one of value in their eyes had fallen to them, but I think they're okay. Middle linebacker is not strong will overshadow, I think you're telling on yourself there, because you called it middle linebacker, which they don't really have. They have inside guys. But again, as I was talking about, was it yesterday or the day before, in the year of our Lord 2019, inside linebacker is just the way it is used in Pettines' scheme, especially considering the fact that a lot of the times it's just one guy, and it's Blake Martinez. Now, they have drafted somebody in Summers that could potentially fill a Jake Ryan-like role. They have Oren Burks, a lot of untapped potential there. But, for a position that is barely on the field, when you have a defensive coordinator using 5, 6, 7 defensive backs at a time, I'm sorry, to me, that's not weak. Wow, that's impressive. In Disney World right now, and came back to the hotel specifically to watch an Agler. That's a little crazy. I would seek a little help. You're in the happiest place on earth. You don't want to come here. Talk Packers. Let's head over to Twitter, see what's going on the old tweet machine. Chris starting us off with, can we stop? Always ready to stop. Can we stop with the Nick Perry, Sean Gary comps just because they both played DE? Nick Perry, RAS, 9.27. Gary, RAS, 9.97. Gary is more athletic than Perry. There, I absolutely agree. Oh, also, he can learn and play behind 2 veterans. That's a good thing. Chris, I tend to agree with your overall assessment here. Why did Dexter Williams fall so much in the draft? I saw some had him going in the 3rd round potentially. Potential steal. Well, Matthew, yes, some people may have graded him out as a potential 3rd rounder, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. And I think his selection and where he was selected, much more about the kind of devaluation of the running back spot in the NFL than it is anything having to do with his talent. I think, once you get to a certain part of the draft, you're really kind of splitting hairs as far as the talent goes. The talent level is so close together. A guy drafted 100 spots after another guy, their talent level may be that close. So did he fall? Could he be a steal? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It all depends on who's doing the rating and the ranking, right? Do NFL scouts, especially Packer scouts, travel less these days with all the video/tech available to see film compared to yesteryear? That's a good question, Joe. The short answer is no. They're still out on the road 365 all the time, sun up, sundown. Lots of times, the guys especially who have lots of smaller schools on their routes, they're going to 1 or 2 schools, maybe even 3 in a single day if they can drive from spot to spot. But no, yeah, they're still all out on the road because a big part of scouting, especially today, is learning about the human being that you're scouting, much more so than it is. Everybody's got the tape. Everybody's got the tape. Everybody's got the cut-ups. Everybody can look at all that. That's the advancement of that's where the advancement of technology comes in, where one team doesn't have more tech than the other. They've all got the same tech, and they're all using it to the nth degree. But they're all still going out on the road and talking not only to the player and his teammates, but his coaches and his teachers and anybody who really knows the kid. That's where you're trying to get to learn as much as you can about each of these men. So, yeah, no, there's no change in the travel schedule. They're still all out on the road quite a little bit. Patrick, bold prediction from Patrick. Manny Wilkins will be QB2, not 3, not 4, not practice squad, QB2 behind Aaron Rodgers this season. Watch and see. Write that down. Written down. That's a little bold. Let's see him throw a pass first in the old NFL. But hey, I like the confidence. I love the chutzpah. The chutzpah, including Mr. Wilkins himself putting up that edit of him in a Packers uniform wearing number 5. It's Paul Hornung's number, man. You gotta be careful with that. Let's head back over to the live chat, shall we? See what you hooligans are up to. Who is more important to the Packers wide receiver room, Kumaro or Jamon Moore? I guess it depends on how you're defining importance and how you're, framing that. But, I mean, I think Jamon Moore, he's the one that's a really big question mark, right? And he's the one with a ton of untapped potential. There's a reason he was the first guy that they drafted out of those all those wide receivers, and then they got the littlest return on it. But so I think he's the one who's probably under the most pressure. Not only that core, but between him and Kumaro. Most important? It depends on what you mean by important. What has been your most memorable and or favorite DJ gig? Ooh, that's really good. I remember I DJ'd at some corporate thing at a Dos Caminos here in New York. This was like a decade ago. And this corporate thing, people in suits dancing badly. And I had a woman come up while I was DJing and say, I would love for you to DJ on my yacht, and I'll pay you $1,000. And I said, sign me up. So I did. I DJ'd on her yacht on the west side. Where am I in New York? Yeah, over there. That was a good day. Do you think Trevor Davis makes a bigger impact in the new offense? Honestly, no, I don't. I think, his speed is so tantalizing and you want to get him out on the field for that reason. But, I think EQ, MVS, even Kumaro, Jamon Moore potentially, I think those guys are just more talented overall, especially MVS and EQ. It's going to be hard for him to get snaps. It's going to be hard for him to get reps. Where can we hear some Nags band stuff? Now you guys are going all in. It's an AMA. My band is on iTunes and Spotify. Good luck. Everybody forgets Aaron Rodgers is possibly the best QB ever. I don't think anybody really forgets that. We should have a good year, exclamation point. You know what? I got to be honest. I tend to agree. I mean, you are going to take an offense, right, essentially. Now, it's LaFleur's version, but an offense that has helped turn around, has turned Matt Ryan into an MVP, that took the Rams from a 7-9, 8-8 hell and making Jared Goff look like one of the worst picks ever into an MVP candidate and within 2 years a Super Bowl contender. Well, if that offense can do that with a quarterback that looked as god-awful as Goff did, what can it do for Aaron Rodgers, who is possibly one of the greatest ever? I'm all in, man. I am all in. Jamon had bad hands last year. Will that improve? Stewie, that is an excellent question. It's something that plagued him in college. I think it got into his head early in camp because he did drop a few. You saw on Family Night, he did have the one excellent touchdown catch where Rodgers went to him in a one-on-one situation, contested ball, came down with it. And I thought that was where he was going to turn the corner because early on in camp, leading up to Family Night, he had drops. And then that play happened, and I thought, okay, here we go. And it just never materialized. And like I keep saying, it is entirely up to him how hard he wants to work at it and if he can turn it around. Thoughts about Jay Sternberger? Please, we finally addressed the tight end position in the draft. I am, Martin. I mean, it took long enough. As I've said several times here, I'll be very surprised if he's a major contributor. I should help on special teams. I think they'll bring him along pretty slowly. They got a couple vets in front of him who will, one's on a one-year deal and one's easily moved on from. So I think there's a good chance that they take this year to kind of bring him along, show him the ropes, and then feature him a little bit more next year. How hard is it for players at this level to drop the dropsies? I think it varies from guy to guy. We've seen guys like James Jones. James Jones had, a bad stretch of bad drops, and he turned it around. Devontae Adams went through a bad stretch of drops. The difference, of course, is neither one of those really had the reputation for having bad drops throughout college, and then when they first came to the pros, they just kind of stumbled upon that, had bad stretches, and then turned it around. Maybe Jamon talks to Devontae about how he did it. It can be done. He's got to work at it. Which game do you think will be the best home game? All of them, baby. I don't care if they're playing a losing Colts team or a Bears-Vikings rivalry game. They're all great. Man, I can't even express how great game day is at Lambeau Field. And I hope and I pray, and it's looking like this is going to happen, that I will be in attendance for all those games this year. So we'll see. How long will Crosby be our kicker? Excellent question. Oh, it's from a Stefan, too. Give me one more year. When do the Packers get new throwbacks? Will they wear anything special for the 100th NFL season like the 75th season? Christopher, I hope so. I haven't heard anything about it. I would love them to do, like, not just the old throwbacks. I would love to do, like, they've done, obviously, the Acme packing stuff. I would love them to do the Color Rush all green. That's what I want. What is my favorite part of 1265? The experience or the building? For the experience, I love being in Corey's yard and then walking across the street to Lot 1 and throwing back a few with Kyle Kuzno. That's a good day. And then you go inside, and it's Lambeau. It's that moment. That's probably the best moment, when you're going through, you're walking through the concourse, and then you make your turn to wherever your seats are, and you get that first glimpse of the field. Gorgeous. Packers should wear 60s throwbacks. I am totally down with that. Are you going to the Giants game this year? Yep, Patrick, I will be. I'll be there. I'll undoubtedly be in the press box. But I will be out and about before the game, so say hey. Why don't the Packers spend pre-draft interviews with players they are interested in, like Jair and Rashawn Gary? Well, it's not necessarily. I mean, that's been the way these last 2 years with the first picks, right? But they also selected guys who they did bring in. So I do think they do so much work on those initial picks. Gutekunst talked about being zeroed in on Gary since February. So they've been working on this kid for a long time. The contact they do have is undoubtedly to gather medical, talk to him a little bit, get to know him. But remember, like we were talking about before with the scouts on the road, they're doing a lot of that personal work as far as getting to know the player. And then they'll come back and the regional scout goes first, and then the next guy gets in and says, we're bringing the director of college scouting, so he goes in, and they take kind of turns going to the school, and each guy meets him, etc. But it's it's not a tried and true thing. It's not steadfast, but I think, as Ted used to say, subterfuge. Sorry, guys, this is going nuts. Oh, my daughter Violet is trying to text me. Gary's starting at linebacker or D end? I think it'll be linebacker outside, but I do think they'll kick him inside sometimes. And I think people are kind of discounting that. It's funny because, like, I think a lot's being made about, the comparisons, as we heard on Twitter before, between, sorry, guys. Sorry. Let me just take care of this nonsense. What a jerk. Yeah, this is all true. What do I think of Rashawn wearing 52? I don't really have any thoughts on it other than no looking back. It's a new day. So for that reason, I don't mind it. How does the draft board of 150 players long work? Don't they risk running out of players by round 5? Not necessarily, because it's tiered, right? There are guys you would select in certain rounds. 150, whatever. It's very rare that anything with a list is going to be plucked one by one because it's so subjective. I mean, could there exist a universe where those 150 players get taken? Sure. That would be a 1 in a trillion chance, even more than that. This is as pumped as I am for defensive line as I can remember. Let's go. And yeah, I love the defensive line. I'm really excited about the defensive front in general. I think they're going to be able to cause a lot of havoc. I think Mike Pettines is going to put together some really fun games for those guys up front, and I'm ready for them to start wrecking stuff. Montravius Adams, Yeah, he was coming on at the end of last year. We've added some pieces there. I think it's going to be fun to watch. What is my Packers Mount Rushmore? Blown up. I don't do Mount Rushmores. This ain't Barstool. I ain't doing no Mount Rushmores. Will the new offense use tight end at fullback exclusively? We'll see. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. You know, I'd like to see some big ass kicker back there, but maybe they like the versatility of some of the move guys. So we'll see. Nags, who's the second best player for the Packers? Last year in particular, it was probably Devontae Adams. Overall, heading into 2019, I'd probably say David Bakhtiari. No more phone shenanigans. Hey, that phone gets me through stuff. We'll be Kings of the North soon. Well, that's what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions, everybody. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Yeah, everything we do at Cheesehead TV is for you guys. It's for Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. It's why we're here. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot.